A lot of people tell you, go pursue your passion, go find your passion, go pursue it. I have a slightly different view. I have a view that says, find your differentiation.
I've observed this trend of sorts that a lot of people join consulting, find their niche, and then pivot to that niche and grow. Where does consulting stand?
I was finishing university, and I thought I wanted to become a professor. But then soon I realized that as much as I like those academic subjects and research, I really like to be in the action. And so a friend said, check out consulting. There was one day a woman came into our office, and she was interested in launching a new school. And she was looking for advice on it. And so it was in that moment that the light bulb went off, and I said, oh, I could be in a career that allows me to manage educational organizations. And so that's what I've been doing now for the last 25 years.
So consulting does help.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah. Hi everybody, I'm Hruditha and I'm a student at the Indian School of Business. On today's edition of Leaders Unplugged, we have with us a complete game changer in the field of global education. Having led top institutes in order to drive innovation and success within them, he's now currently serving as a global CEO and president of the biggest player in standardized testing. You heard that right, ETS. He's driving innovation in how we measure learning and potential of students across the globe. We have here with us Mr. Amit Sevak. So, hi Amit.
Hi, Hruditha.
Welcome to this edition of Leaders Unplugged. In one of your interviews, you mentioned that ETS was started in 1947, which happens to be the same year that India got its independence. So, if you could draw a few parallels in the growth of ETS and the evolution of India, I think that's something that we'd like to know a little bit more upon.
Well, it's great to be on the show on Leaders Unplugged, so thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to the conversation. On your question on the parallels between ETS and India, both have gone through so much transformation. And if you think back to the 1940s, the world had just come out of an incredible catastrophe of the war, right? World War II. And there was a moment of new beginnings. India was in search of a new beginning. And in the United States, the country was also in search for a new beginning. And I see so many parallels in building on new and fresh ways to think about how to organize in ETS's world education. Of course, in India, a whole new country was built. So two organizations, in ETS's context, let me share a little bit about ETS. So ETS was founded on a very simple principle of creating assessments that can help students get ahead. And from those early beginnings, ETS has grown from strength to strength, first in the United States and then around the world. We have programs and products and services now that we offer in countries in Asia and Latin America and Europe. We're known for TOEFL, we're known for GRE, but I would say that the two things that have connected India with ETS have largely been not just the beginnings, but also over the years. ETS has been serving Indian students for many years through programs like TOEFL and GRE. Also, we have administered many assessments, including the PISA assessment and other assessments that evaluate math and literacy scores. We're now working with the Ministry of Education on a variety of programs that we'll talk about in a little bit. So you're right, there are many parallels in terms of new beginnings, decade-long history, building from strength to strength between ETS and India.
In fact, touching upon the point you made earlier about working with the Education Ministry of India, recently the Education Minister of India, Shri Dharmendra Pradhan, had come to ISB, and in conversations with our Dean Madan, he talked about how it's so important to skill yourself, but also reskill yourself. I agree with those views. However, I do see a wide space when it comes to essentially assessing how well you're learning your skills. And in a recent interview with the Carnegie Foundation, you mentioned how skills are the new currency. So, is there anything that ETS is planning on doing or it could do to assess how well we're learning skills and how well we're reskilling ourselves?
Yeah, for me, skills are the new currency in the world of education and work. It's the common denominator that connects us from being a student to being a fresher to being in an MBA program to being in the world of work. What skills do I have? What can I demonstrate? How do I apply those skills? And for us, we're in an incredibly exciting time at ETS because we're moving from a traditional approach that focused more on standardized assessment to much more of an exciting approach that's focusing on personalized assessment. We're also moving from tests that focus mostly on cognitive skills like problem solving to more and more working on assessments that are working on non-cognitive skills or durable skills or power skills. So like communication or collaboration or creativity, we want to assess those skills because in a world of AI and a world in which so much is changing with the forces of technology, these human skills are going to start to matter even more. So we want to help institutions, help companies, but most importantly, help individuals demonstrate what they know and what they can do. And so the more we have assessments that are focusing on these human skills, the more we can power a future economy. So for me, the through line is a greater focus on assessments that allow people to measure and show up in terms of what skills they can actually produce and impact in the world around them. And so our vision is to complement the traditional types of ways to demonstrate what you've learned with more skill-based demonstrations, a skills transcript or a skills resume that is based on assessments that actually have validity. So you are assessed on those skills. You can then get a score on those skills, and that can allow you to connect the educational world with the world of work. So that's what inspires me to imagine a world in which more and more people are thinking about the skills they have and then having a way to demonstrate those through it. Imagine a digital wallet that lists your communication skills, collaboration, creativity. Those are the kinds of skills that employers care about. They want to see those skills. They want to see that you've developed a mastery of those skills and that are consistently demonstrating those. That's the world that we're moving into.
That's extremely true. However, in a place like India, where education is very important in a way that if you have a degree, then you get a lot more opportunities and respect. But that is right now. With the advent of AI, what is going to happen is that there's going to be a part of the economy wherein people will have education but no skills. Just touching upon this, ETS recently worked with the Ministry of Education to make PARAKH, which is basically the performance assessment review and analysis of knowledge for holistic development. Could you give me your insights on ETS's contributions to frameworks or like PARAKH, which are going to help India be a skill-first nation rather than just having a piece of paper as a degree, which may or may not be redundant with the way that the economy is moving forward?
I'm really excited about the opportunities and potential in India. There's just so much human capital, and there's such a big opportunity for us to unleash the potential of all of the individuals that are in the country. This is a country that has a median age of 29 years. This is a country that has almost 2/3 of the country is below 35. So you have this incredibly young, vibrant, exciting, dynamic population that can not only contribute to the Indian economy, but contributing and is contributing to the world economy. So it's an exciting place to think about how to demonstrate skills, demonstrate mastery of those skills in an Indian context. Let me first start with PARAKH. We're very proud to be partners with the Ministry of Education. I'm really grateful for this opportunity that they've given us at ETS. What we have been able to do over the last couple of years in working with the Ministry of Education is to really align to their vision of building strong foundational skills. So one of the things that they were interested in doing is creating holistic report cards that are starting to be used in various states throughout India as a way to get an integrated photo of a student that goes beyond traditional grades. In addition, one of the big visions that the ministry has had is around looking at ways to provide synergies and a common language across the states so that a student that is progressing in one school system and then their family moves to another state can still have consistency in the qualifications that go from one state to another state. So that is something else we're working on. But one of the areas I'm most proud of is the work we've been doing to support NAS. So NAS, as you know, is this incredible opportunity to, across all 36 states, use assessments. And these are really samples. We're sampling students across 781 different blocks, across a whole range of languages, 23 languages, 2.3 million students across India took these assessments. And that allows us to now know for students in the 3rd grade, in the 6th grade, and the 9th grade, what is their level of math? What is their level of literacy? And how can we compare that, not only across the 36 states, but across these blocks and district levels? This is the kind of ability that we've been able to share because ETS has done this kind of work in other countries and across countries in the past. And I think this kind of analysis and data can be very useful, not only to help policymakers, but also to help decision makers at the local level. And I think it's aligning with the National Education Policy 2020 and the whole vision of really strengthening the whole country. On the skills side, there's so much exciting things that are happening, not only in schools, but also at universities.
I think I want to take this opportunity to move more into your career trajectory as well, even before ETS. So you were a consultant at Bain & Company before joining Harvard Business School for your MBA. And I've observed this trend of sorts that a lot of people join consulting, find their niche, and then pivot to that niche and grow. So did education as a sector come to you because of consulting, or essentially, I want to know your views on this trend. Where does consulting stand?
Yeah, it's a great question. So in my experience, I was finishing university and I thought I wanted to become a professor. So I graduated and I started doing some research and some teaching. But then soon I realized that as much as I like those academic subjects and research, I really like to be in the action. Yeah. I like to be involved in managing things and launching things. And I started to see that I might have more excitement in the world of work that's outside the academic arena. So more of a business or management-oriented experience. But I didn't quite know what I was going to do. I was in my 20s. And so a friend said, check out consulting. It has a lot of people who like to think about problems, like to solve problems, and I thought this might be interesting. So I applied to various consulting programs and had the opportunity to join Bain. And it was really a incredibly helpful journey. So in my 20s, this was incredible, right? I was interacting with all these very senior folks, getting a chance to really wrestle with the kind of strategic questions they were figuring out. So that kind of exposure was fantastic early in my career. In that same opportunity, there was one day a woman came into our office, and she was interested in launching a new school. And she was looking for advice on it. And so the partner said, would anybody here be interested in helping her for free as a pro bono project? And I thought, oh, this is interesting. Having my interest in education, because I was thinking about becoming a teacher, I said, sure, I'm happy to help. So what we did is we created a small little team that was there to help her start up that school. We applied the principles of strategy of management consulting, market sizing, recruiting a high-quality staff, thinking about the financials, and we applied that experience that we do for big companies, and we did it for this little small nonprofit organization that was in education. And that's when I got the idea early in my career to combine my interests. I have an interest in business and management, but I still have this passion for education. And so it was in that moment that the light bulb went off and I said, oh, I could be in a career that allows me to manage educational organizations. And so that's what I've been doing now for the last 25 years.
So consulting does help.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah. Because of your passion for education, you've also held leadership roles at the University of Europe in Madrid, INTI University in Malaysia, and also the Unitec in Mexico. So these are all such diverse experiences. Like it's Europe, Malaysia, and Mexico. So, how did the cultures differ? What did you learn from working in all of these cultures? And also, how did you end up in so many places? I would love to know that.
You know, it's interesting. I, number one, was interested in getting global experiences. And so I would tell people that if there's an opportunity to take on a leadership role in our sector in education, but to do it in different countries, I was interested. So the first was I recognized that I had a desire to know the world. And I wanted to take that opportunity to do that in my world of work. So that's how I ended up in different places, because I was ready for an adventure. I think the one through line in each of these areas is there was an element of a turnaround that was required. So each of these situations required a leadership team to come in to take an organization that already had a solid foundation. Each of the organizations you mentioned are great institutions, and they were even great before I had the chance to join. But for a variety of reasons, they were ready for a refresh. They were ready for a new strategy. They were ready for new energy. They were ready for some innovation in products and services. And so that was the similar pattern in each of these areas. They were ready for some sort of a transformation or a turnaround in the organization.
I think now having that clarity about, as a student currently pursuing my business degree, having that clarity about what you're truly passionate about, it is a little rare. However, I do see people, because there's so much more access to education. There's a lot of artificial intelligence in every sector now that makes it easy for you to know what you want to do, what you're good at, and what interests you. I think knowing that early on is very important, and I can see that in your career trajectory as
well. And
well.
you know, one thing I've also learned, if I could share, is a lot of people tell you, go pursue your passion, go find your passion, go pursue it. I have a slightly different view. I have a view that says, find your differentiation.
Okay.
Find what it is that makes you stand out. That what is your competitive advantage that you can apply to the world? If you have a interest in a particular topic, or you have energy, of course, that helps drive differentiation, but you might be more analytical, or you might be more creative, or you might have an entrepreneurial mindset, or you might have a global orientation.
In order to know your strength and leverage it and measure it, ETS is already working on doing that fantastically. But with the advent of AI, as I mentioned previously, AI is redefining standardized testing. And what do you think are the broader implications of AI in this industry? Like, what is the future of university admission assessments, essentially? I think I'd like to know your views on that. And do you believe that traditional benchmarking is still going to be relevant, or does it need a fundamental overhaul?
These are great questions. Yeah. These are really great questions. So let me take a step back and orient to the education sector, because like healthcare and finance, it's a sector. Globally, the education sector is $5 trillion. So the Indian GDP is almost 5 trillion. So that's how big the education sector is globally. When you add the US and China and India and all the countries in the world, the total of how much everyone in the world spends on education, it's 5 trillion. Of that 5 trillion, less than 1% is spent on the educational measurement side. And so if you think about that, you think, gosh, this is a very small subsector. It's not that relevant. It's kind of small. But here's the insight. It's actually in the measurement of the education that you produce data. When you take an exam, that's when you actually demonstrate to someone else some data about what skills you have, what you really learn, what you can do. And when you collect that data over many, many people, then you can have insights. But you need structured data to then run large language models, to then apply AI. If you don't have data, the AI is not really useful, right?
That's extremely insightful. After such a substantial conversation, I'd like to lighten the mood by having a game segment.
All right, sounds good.
So the game is called In 5 Words, and I'm going to give you 5 different topics, and you have to give me the first 5 things that come to your head about it.
Okay.
Let's go. ETS.
Education and talent solutions.
Fair enough. Harvard and ISB.
Well-respected institutions globally.
I like that. Online versus offline learning.
The world is hybrid.
And I think lastly, skills first hiring, replacing degrees.
The future.
That's amazing. I loved having this conversation
Likewise.
with you. And I'm so grateful that you've taken this time out to come and inspire students like us who are pursuing our business degrees, and also everyone else who's watching, who it's truly phenomenal how you've observed the disruption before it has happened, and you're working towards it.
Thank you
so much. Yeah.
It's an honor to be on this show, Leaders Unplugged. It's an honor to have this conversation with you. Congratulations on all your success, past, present, and future, as you take on your new role in consulting as well. I'll just share, it's really a wonderful privilege for me to be here at ISB. And thank you very much for the conversation.
Thank you.